nothing is better than living year free. Like, I would lose everything, and I risked everything, literally risked everything to do it.
Welcome to the Social Sunshine Podcast. I'm your hostess, Brittany Crossan, and I'm here to help you build a brand, make an impact, and have some fun on social media. I'm the owner of Fun Love Media, a social media and podcasting agency in Houston, Texas. This show is for social media creators, social media managers, and small business owners that want to stand out on social media and beyond. Please know that this show could include some grown-up language here or there. Let's get started.
Okay, welcome to the Social Sunshine Podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here.
So excited.
My first in-person interview. So, okay, we have a lot to talk about. We've already talked about all of the hair things and all of the skin things.
Mm-hmm.
But I really do want to talk to you about some things that I think are going to be helpful, because people that listen to the show are listening to it because usually they're a small business owner,
mm-hmm.
they're entrepreneurial, and they love social media and all that. And so since you have obviously been a business owner for over 2 decades, and then we've now worked together on your social media for a while. I want to talk about all the things.
Let's do it.
So,
I'm excited.
Okay, so first, just give everybody a little background on just an overview of your business journey. Like, how long ago you started Click Salon,
Mm-hmm.
Why that even happened,
Mm-hmm.
and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, okay. So we've been in business 22 years. So if you had told me 22 years ago that I would own a hair salon, I would have laughed in your face. I'd been like,
So it was not the plan.
Never the plan. Never the plan. The plan was I had no plan other than to go to college, right? That was my plan. So I got my undergrad in psychology, and then I was just debating, what do I want to do, And then, as things happen around the, early 20s, often you find a guy and you fall in love, and then your life goes to shit, basically. Just kidding.
That's exactly how it happens.
So funny story. I actually went to get my hair done, and by this guy that I heard was like so amazing, and he, cut my hair, and I actually, after the haircut, I cried, which should have been a warning sign, but missed it. Because I didn't like it. It wasn't.
Oh, no.
It wasn't that he was really horrible with haircuts. It's just I didn't like it. It was just way too short, and so I cried. And I was with my best friend, and I said I will never go back to him again, ever. And then I didn't for a long time. And then it was I worked at a restaurant, was waiting tables during college, and he came in with some of his friends, and he remembered my name, and so that to me said a lot, that I was, because it's really important for me to remember people's names. So he was like, you need to come back in, and I was like, okay. So I went back in, and that was kind of the beginning of, you could say, Click Salon, because we met, we dated briefly, got married pretty fast within a year, and we both wanted to move to Houston because we were in a small town, and so I wanted to move to Houston to go to grad school for psychology therapy. And he wanted to come to Houston to open a salon. And so we were on the same page, and I was like, he was like, let's do it. So we moved to Houston, and I did start grad school. And during the process, I was like, you know what, why don't you take care of the hair, teach the hair, do the hair, build the business. We had 0 clients because we were moving from 2 hours away.
And he was a hairstylist. You were not.
I was not a hairstylist.
Okay, making that clear.
Very clear. No intention of being a hairstylist. And so, I really thought I was going to be like a therapist, a psychologist, which is actually what I do, really.
Right. You technically are.
Technically are, yeah. So, anyway, so in the midst of creating the salon, we were talking about, different roles, and, since we were literally, it was just the 2 of us, I suggested, you do the hair, take care of just trying to attract clients and getting their haircut colored, and I'll do the business side, because I had some finance training. I'd looked at being a stockbroker, taken the Series 7, blah blah blah. So I knew enough about business where I can do that. And then I knew I was good with people, because psychology, people, that was my thing.
Yeah.
So I was like, I have my undergrad, in psychology. I love people. I know how they work. I know how they tick. Like, I'll do the management part, even though I think we started with maybe 2 team members, right?
Yeah.
Of course, I was 23. I had no idea what the hell I was doing. So that's how it happened. So we opened the salon together, and we just literally started day one. Was really funny because the day that we opened, since we had a couple of team members that lived in Houston, they did have a couple clients on the books. The water wasn't even on yet, so we had to shampoo their color out with bottled water and the shampoo bowls. So that's how it started, day one. Yeah, and then just what happened over the years, I fell in love with the industry.
Yeah.
I fell in love with the business. I fell in love with the people. And, I obviously haven't worked in a lot of other industries, but I know that the hair industry is one of the most fun, exciting, fulfilling industries to be in.
Right.
Because you're making people feel good all day long.
Right.
And it's like, how can that go wrong?
Yeah.
And then the stylists that you work with, they're such fun, vivacious, energetic, crazy, some of them, people.
For sure.
And it's just so fun to work with them. Like, they have changed my life so much. I was so like rigid and everything was black and white, when I first started. And now I'm like, everything's gray.
Yes.
Few rules as possible, but they're just wonderful people. And then I like the business aspect. I like just pure business of how can we grow this? I mean, we started out with literally sales of $1,
Right.
So I was like, how can we grow this? And I just got addicted to just that whole concept. People ask me all the time, well, why didn't you then go to hair school? And I'm like, I have zero interest in doing hair.
Yeah.
And people look at me like I'm crazy, and I'm like, I hire people. Anyone can open any business in the whole fucking world that they want,
Right.
and have zero qualifications. They can hire people to do that.
Right.
You can open a restaurant tomorrow and hire someone that knows how to run restaurants.
Yeah.
And so I've hired the very best people, and we've trained the very best people to do hair. And so they train other people to do hair, and then I can focus on the business and the people.
Right.
And it really works.
Okay.
So that's how I ended up here, and like never in a million. That's why just probably a couple years ago, I decided to never say never. You always hear that saying?
Yep.
Never say never.
Mm-hmm.
Because I have said that, so I will never do this. I will never do that. And it's like, anytime I say it, it could be 10 years down the fucking road. The universe comes in and is like, wow, you said never.
Never.
So,
You're wrong.
I never say never, and sometimes if I do say it, I literally correct myself. I'm like, never mind. It could happen,
I guess maybe.
Yeah. So that's the story. And then of course I have to say, eventually me and my ex-husband, we got divorced.
Yeah.
And so, that was,
So tell me about that, because I feel like that might be something that somebody listening to, it's probably not a super common situation, but people have been through it.
Sure.
And it's probably kind of cool to hear you're not alone, whether they've been through it before or now. Like, you're in business with a spouse.
Which don't do, by the way. Don't do it. I'll never do that again.
Oh my God.
Wait, never
no.
say never. No.
Maybe on that one.
Maybe on that one.
One's a never. But yeah, well, of course, like, it already comes with its own challenges. But then it's like, oh crap, now we're getting divorced. Like, just what happened? Like, how did y'all deal with that? And then you obviously are still with Clicks On. He's not. So how did that all kind of go down?
So
I mean, not that, like, you know what I mean.
How long do we have?
The business side of it. Like, how did you deal with that and get through it? Essentially?
Sure, without destroying the company.
Right.
Because that happens a lot. You see,
and it would be understandable, by the way. I mean,
Absolutely.
if there's any time for a company to just like go down in flames, it would be understandable.
Absolutely. So, I mean, our situation was unique, as I'm sure most are, but it was very unique in the fact that he had really stepped away from the business several years. I'm going to say 3 to 5 years before we even got
He
divorced.
wasn't really that involved.
So he was not very involved at all. He might would come in, you know, one day a week and like cut some hair, and he just was not involved. He was wanting to move way back to the country and open like a little tiny salon there. So just really, he had, I would just say his involvement in the business was almost non-existent.
Okay.
So that gave me a chance to really step up to where I could do things my way. And when I say my way, I'm not saying everyone has their own way, but my way was very different than his way.
Yeah.
And so I had my own ideas of how to grow the business and how to run a company. And it was, I couldn't really do that because when you have, you know, co-owners, even if they're not there, you still can't enforce or do what you want to do if they're against it, because they're going to come in and be like, no, you can't do that, or I don't like this.
And then for the people that work there, that would be confusing and a mess.
And it was a mess. So I really had to just like everything I wanted to do, I had to just keep it kind of like stuffed down. So because of that, we had gotten to the point by the time I filed for divorce, we had team members there that didn't even know him.
Wow. Okay.
So that transition was so smooth.
Yeah.
Now they knew of him and they knew he was co-owner, of course. So what I did is just, you know, right when I filed, I set every single person down individually and I just let them know what was happening. And I said, you know, your job is safe. You know, I did a lot of things beforehand to make sure that the money for the company was in a safe place.
Sure.
So, you know, there wouldn't be any, oh, I'm going to take all the money and
Sure,
go out
of
of
course.
business.
Yeah.
So I did a lot
Smart.
of precautions ahead of time. And then just set them down, just let them know it was filing, that their jobs were safe. Nothing was changing because literally he wasn't there anyway.
Yeah.
So I said nothing will change, you know, other than eventually, you know, my hope would be that, you know, I'll be the sole owner and, you know, that's it. So I'm like,
Yeah.
let's just go about our day like normal. And ultimately, all they really cared about was number one, you know, their jobs, which, you know, I can say all day long they cared about me, and they did. But ultimately, we're all going to, the first thing we're going to think about is, do I have a job? Because
Yes.
they have their own families.
Of course.
So they just wanted to make sure their job was safe, and it was. And yes, they wanted to also make sure, you know, are you okay? And I was like, fuck yeah, like I'm happy as hell. So, you know, so once they knew those two things, it was just like a non-issue and it just flowed. And then once everything was finalized, that's when we just like fucking exploded growth-wise and team-wise.
Do you think that your growth explosion, especially initially, was related to like your happiness levels, your like, did that help you, or was it just like, okay, I can do things my way? Like, what do you think influenced that timing? Because you were getting divorced, and then you know, you had all that growth soon after.
I mean, I'm definitely a big believer in the happier you are, the more successful you usually are.
Yeah.
Because you're more in flow.
Yeah.
But if I had to choose, I'm gonna have to say it's because I had so many ideas and thoughts that had been pent up for so long that I wanted to implement, that I knew were the best route to go to grow,
Right.
and I couldn't do them.
Yeah.
So it's like I was unleashed.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to go with, ultimately, it was the fact that I felt like I was able to actually implement all these growth strategies. And I say it was very much a team thing. It's just I was finally able to work with the team. And because they would constantly come to me with ideas that were amazing. So it wasn't just my ideas, but I'd be like, that's a great idea. But unfortunately, because we don't have the support of both the owners, we can't do that right now. So it was just it was years of pent up, and then we were just able to just like fucking unleash them just together as a team. And we went from, I don't know how many people we had at that time, maybe, you know, 8, I mean, if that, and we just went from 8 to, you know, now we're closer to 30, and we went from, you know, barely doing, you know, $1 million to now 2.5 million. And it's just,
That's awesome.
it's not anyone's good or bad. It's just a fact of I really wanted to grow the business, and I loved the people. And my ex, he wasn't passionate anymore.
Yeah.
And that's a sign for anyone. If you're not passionate and if you don't love what you're doing, then, chances are it's not really going to grow. You're not really going to go anywhere. You can maintain it for a while, depending on what your business and your job is.
Sure.
But it's not going to grow. And if you're an entrepreneur, it's eventually going to actually decline pretty hard. So we were on that path. If we had stayed together, we would have definitely just went out of business.
Right. That's wild. I love how you said unleashed.
Yeah, and that's how I felt. that's
a good way
literally
to describe
how
it.
I felt, because just, imagine, since you obviously, run your own company and it's just you as the owner,
Right.
but imagine if you did have someone that you
Yeah.
had to agree with, and you kept having all these ideas, because I know you have ideas all the time on how to grow your business. And every idea you had, because it was literally every idea, they're like, nope. And so you keep having to push it down. But imagine,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden you cut the leash or the tie or whatever, and you can do it. Imagine that feeling.
Yeah.
You'd be like, freedom, right? Which is why I have my free tattoo. I literally got it right then, because I felt free to actually implement and do things the way I wanted to do. And there was definitely a failure rate. There's no way I'd sit here and be like, oh my God, every idea that we implemented was so successful.
Of course.
No, that's not the case. But I think there were so many fucking ideas that it's enough of them stuck. Some
Some of them are bound to be successful.
there
You
were
have that
so
good
many
ideas.
at that time. Yeah.
I love that. So we're recording this in early 2024. So what about what year was that? How many years has it been since you've been able to be the sole owner of Click?
I'm just gonna say 5.
5-ish.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it definitely started around 7, but hardcore unleashed, not unleashed.
Not only unleashed.
5 years.
5 years.
5 years. Yeah.
Got it. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're okay. I'm just moving us forward a little bit on your story. So you're running the salon without having to do it with anybody else. You're unleashed. It's amazing.
Unleashed.
You're growing. You're exploding. It's all these wonderful things, and then you decide to tell people that you are gay, but the timing on it, is this a thing you sat on for a while that you explain? I want to know all the things.
The gay story?
Yes, let's go with the gay story.
It's a great story, really.
I love a gay story.
Yeah. So, and everyone has their own unique coming out story, or finding out they were gay, or realizing they were gay, or knowing they were gay. And mine was very unique in that I remember my ex asked me at one point, not in a friendly way, but, so have you known, all along that you were gay? And I looked him in the eyes, and with 1,000% honesty said no. I had no clue.
Yeah.
And it's just because I think I was so protected as a child and just so boxed in, homeschooled until I was in 9th grade. I didn't even know what gay meant until I was probably 18, So it just wasn't even, one of my favorite sayings is you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
And so, looking back, it's the first time I kissed a boy, I cried. That's a sign, by the way. If any of you, are thinking that you're straight and you cried the first time you kissed a boy, that's a sign, potentially, that you might be gay. Maybe.
Potential.
Just maybe. So,
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
yeah. So the same thing happened with a different boy the first time we made out and went a little bit further than just kissing. Stopped, started crying. Because I was like, this is so gross. Big sign as well. But I had no clue. I just had no clue, because it's just to me, you don't know what you don't know. So I was
Yeah.
this is just normal. It's just gross,
I mean, it's kind of gross sometimes.
See? Even straight people think that. So anyway, so I really didn't. But then I girl, a team member at the salon that was gay, and she was one of those that knew, you know, from the time she was basically born. Oh, yeah. So, you know, there was a lot of freedom around her sexuality, and I just started feeling things and thinking things that I had never thought in my life, never felt in my life. And so I was like, what is this? What, you know, like, because I'd heard, so for any of you who have never been in the back room of a salon, okay, there's lots of talk about sex,
it's a
right?
neat place.
It's fun. It's fun, and, you know, obviously not in front of clients, but in the back, they're having fun, you know. And I would always hear people, you know, the girls, usually girls, you know, talk about like how amazing their sex life was and all this great sex they were having. And of course I would never say anything. I would just sit there and think like, you're crazy. Like how, you know, or
is that a thing for people?
Yeah, because I didn't get it. And so I really got to the point where I just truly thought I was asexual. Like that's what I thought. I was like, because I'm not feeling any of these things. I must be asexual, because I would research it, you know. I'm a researcher. I'm a Google queen, right? So anyway, but then I started feeling these things, and I'm like, wow. So, you know, it just kind of, we went on a, obviously it was just, oh, let's go hang out and go ice skating. And, and, you know, it was truly innocent in a sense, but yet I knew I had all these feelings at the same time. And probably wasn't as innocent on her part, because she had been gay forever, right? So
she's like, aha.
Right.
I see what I'm working with here.
So it just literally just happened, and you know, I just fell like really hard, really fast, and I felt and experienced all these feelings I'd never had, you know, sexually, love feelings, just feelings. I can't even I had never felt any kind of feeling that's connected to when straight people talk about like love and emotions, and I'd never felt any of that.
Wow.
But I didn't know, because you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
And so once I started feeling all these things, that was actually normal. But
when about how old were you whenever you were
I
realizing all
was,
this?
so let's see. I'm going to count my age in my head right now.
Just because
So,
I think it's interesting.
I was 39.
Okay.
39.
I think it's important to share that, because
Absolutely. 38, 39.
Okay.
And so then I just knew, like, once it all came together, and then I started thinking back to all the things that had happened as a child, all the, you know, it's like I was never attracted. All my friends loved boy bands. I was like, why? Like, I loved Madonna.
Wait a minute. Are you trying to tell me that lesbians don't like boy bands? Come
No,
on.
You know, I
Come
mean,
on.
maybe they do. But it's like my friends had pictures of all these like teenage guys.
Yes,
on their
of course.
wall.
They were like googly eyed over on
Right.
Yeah.
And I had, you know, Madonna, and which of course straight people like Madonna
No,
too.
but I know what you mean. Like you were, yeah. It makes sense. Like you're like looking back in your life, you're like, oh my god, like in your late
It makes
30s,
sense.
things are coming together.
It all, and everything just fits so perfectly. Because I did question, like, okay, was it just because I was in such a horrible, unhealthy marriage?
Yeah.
You know, because that's a legit question. And then once I started having all these feelings and then piecing everything back, and lots of therapy, you know, I realized, like, wow, this is definitely was something that was there from, you know, the very beginning. And so it was a lot, but it was wonderful. It was just the most wonderful feeling in the world, because you know, you've obviously been married a long time, and so even though now I'm sure it's not as wild and crazy for you guys, but I know you remember those initial feelings.
Sure.
And so I'd never had those, so it was
yeah.
really cool, even at 38, to experience that and be like, oh my god, so I'm not asexual, nothing's wrong with me.
Yep.
It's not just that I was in a really crappy marriage, I'm just fucking gay. And it was just very enlightening and just almost peaceful.
Yeah.
You know?
That's really cool. Well, and I brought this up by saying you decided to tell everyone that you were gay, but what I was referring to is at work, and I'm wondering how that played out, like for you, like in your timing, right? Because you've got to go through your own thing as you're going through, you're discovering, you're realizing all these things, and that's a very important thing for you privately without having to, you know, but then at some point, right, you're gonna, because not only is it just like cool to share, these people work with you every day, but then like the person that you're seeing works there. So
not ideal, by the way. I also do not recommend that.
all kinds of life lessons.
Life
Good
lessons,
tips.
yep.
So, but when you decided to go ahead and tell the people working at Click, like, how did that go? Because I think that people listening that do have employees and stuff, and it may not be that they're gay, it may be whatever big life thing,
Personal
and
things,
then
but
you
still,
want to share it, you know, because it's big enough. You need to share it. How did you handle that? Like, did you take a while, or what did you do?
So I handled it very incorrectly.
Great.
Yeah.
So Natalie's about to tell us how not to do.
This is what you don't do. So I'm a really big believer in speaking your truth and being authentic, and that's very important to me. And obviously, it's become more. It's been important since I was young. Everyone's always said, if you want honesty, like, go to Natalie, but be prepared. But you know, it's gotten even more and more important, obviously, as I got older. And so the fact that I was dating someone that worked at the salon, and the fact that I was the owner, okay, and I was trying to figure all this stuff out, it just was tearing me apart because I felt like I was lying to the team. Was I technically lying? Of course not. If anyone had come and asked me, I would have said that. But I'm also a big believer that hiding is lying, especially once it keeps happening. You know, maybe not initially, but hiding with the intent of really trying to keep something from people, to me, is the same as lying. That's just my opinion.
Right.
So at first it was like not a big deal. And then, you know, I would say it was probably around, a couple people knew, you know, like my top people, like my top leaders there, like they knew.
Yeah.
So, but you know, the majority of the team did not. And so it was probably about a year. We had been dating probably about a year.
Okay.
And it was definitely one of those things where I just was, because I didn't know what to do, because I was scared at that point. Well, it's been happening for a year, and you know, are people going to be mad? Are they going to think that I'm treating her differently? So many thoughts of fear.
Sure.
Not that I was gay. I knew no one there would even remotely care. In fact, they'd be happy for me. But it was just the fact that it was someone that worked there.
That's nice that you already had that feeling of support.
Yeah,
That you knew that.
I didn't
was-
doubt that.
That's cool.
At all. Yeah.
That's very cool.
So, you know, eventually, like things are when you're dating someone, and you know, people start to pick up on signs. And so one of the girls that worked there said, "Can I ask you a question?" I'm like, "Sure," you know, totally oblivious. And she was like, "Are you dating, you know,
Yes.
so-and-so?" And my heart like fell to my toes, and I'm like, fuck. Because like I said, I'd always said I would never lie, like if someone
Right.
asked. And so I knew then that, you know, so I said yes. And so then the very next morning, I actually called a meeting with the whole team. And so it wasn't to announce that I was gay. Like, I would never do that. Guys, we're going to have a meeting and let you know that I'm gay. But it was simply because it was from someone there. So I called a meeting, let them know. And I explained to them why I didn't tell them, like my fears.
Yeah.
And that I was trying to figure it out. And I told them I didn't do it right. I messed up. You know, I'm a big believer in, you know, when you are a leader, when you mess up, own it. Say it, you know. So, you know, I told them, I said, I know that for some of you, I'm going to have to re-earn your trust in this area. Because, you know, I've hidden it, right? Hidden it, that's the word? Hidden?
I've hidden it. Yes.
Yeah.
That's
So,
right.
you know, and so yeah, so it took a minute, you know. I say a minute. It took definitely, I would say, a good year for a couple of people to really kind of like build back that trust.
Yeah.
Because I was such a big proponent of being authentic and vulnerable, and it was just such a tricky situation.
Yeah.
Wasn't done purposefully, but I just didn't know how to do it. So anyway, life lesson: don't date people you work with, period. Whether you're the owner or even you just work, just don't do it, right? I would never, Never say never.
I almost never. Can we say almost?
I don't see myself ever doing that again. Even though it worked out fine, but still.
Right.
But yeah, as far as support though, in an instant, even though people took some time to have to redevelop that trust with me, that I wasn't going to hide things that were going on in the company, because that to them is what it was. If I had been dating someone outside the company,
Yeah.
they wouldn't have cared. But it's true. It was something going on within the company
Right.
that I was hiding from them, and so that's what made it, break trust a little bit. But anyway, as far as and they were able to separate, like even the people that were kind of upset that I had hidden it, they were also immediately the first people to come to me and say, "I'm so happy for you. I'm so happy that you've found happiness.
Yeah.
I'm so happy that you're figuring out who you are. So supportive, so supportive."
Well, and you said, I don't feel like I need to like announce that I'm gay. I need to announce that I'm dating someone that works here. But I mean, a lot of people do feel like they need to announce.
And
they're gay,
I
right?
still would have definitely, even if it had been someone not at the salon, I definitely would have announced it. I would have announced it way sooner.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have, I wouldn't have called a meeting. I just would have been like, guys, oh my gosh. Once I felt comfortable that I really knew I was, I would have been like, guys, just have to let you know, I've been going out with this girl and I'm totally gay.
Totally
it would have been more of one of those backroom conversations,
Sure.
But it just was a little bit different in this situation. But it ended up working out, and life lesson, learn from it. And so now I'm just really transparent.
Right. Well, I think it's understandable that you had to take time, but I also think it's understandable that some people be like, "Ooh, you're secretive." So
Yeah.
I can see both sides.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's your fucking life, and you shouldn't have to tell everybody everything as soon as
Yeah.
it starts. But sure, of course, after a year, somebody might be sensitive to the fact that
It's going on under their noses.
Sure.
And so, yeah.
Yeah, I see both sides of that. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, cool. Well, I love the part of it where you were like, I knew that they would be supportive, because I think to me that speaks to you actually as a leader in the people that are there, which is also just a general theme of Click Salon, as I've learned working with you guys. But like, if you feel that solid that you could tell someone something, a group of someone's something so big, and that you would generally get support probably from pretty much everybody. I mean, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool that you've like
Awesome.
attracted those people in, because that's just not fucking how it is everywhere.
Yeah.
A lot of people would probably not feel that way about people they hired, their coworkers, their family, their whatever, right?
Yeah, they would feel, are they going to judge me? Are they going to,
Yeah.
think less of me? Or yeah, absolutely. I had none of those. I told my team way before I told my family. And that does speak to the kind of culture that we have.
Yeah.
And I think as a leader, you just kind of you attract who you are.
Yeah.
So I just love people, and I don't care if we disagree on things. I'm still going to, as long as you don't, hurt me or force your beliefs on me.
Yeah.
I'm going to be so accepting of who you are. And so we attract those type of people, and in no way do we ever say, oh, everyone needs to believe what everyone else believes. That's not, in fact, it's just the opposite. It's we want to foster this environment of, we can have a group of people that all have different beliefs and thoughts, and because that's normal, right? And we can still get along and have fun and love each other and accept each other for exactly who we are.
Right.
And so that's definitely what we've created. And it's not perfect by any means. And another thing you find is you do tend to start attracting people with similar values, and
Sure.
It's not like you.
It's natural for that to happen.
That's just natural.
Yeah.
So at this point, someone that is anti-gay and anti-homosexual is not going to come work for my company.
Yeah.
That's just how it is.
Yeah.
So it's not that I wouldn't, I'd be okay with them being anti-gay, but they're not going to want to work for me, so they're not going to even come.
Right.
So, but yeah, ultimately, and we talk about it as a team a lot, as in like, hey guys, like share your beliefs, share your opinions, and
Right.
it's okay if you don't agree with it. It's just, we just, as long as we just love each other,
Right.
that's all that matters.
It is all that matters. And that's one of the, early on, I've talked with you all this time. Well, I mean, I know everybody listening and watching heard an introduction, which I'll be recording later. But,
I'm like, I want to hear it.
But we haven't talked about the fact that I've been working with you guys for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually recall, because I see you a lot on the screen, because I personally am editing all this stuff myself. And so you did a video where you talked about that, about
Mm-hmm.
how like it's okay to, it was, you're in a red dress, I think. And it was like okay to, you know,
Mm-hmm.
disagree without being fucking assholes to each other. Basically,
Right.
that was basically the message.
Right.
And I agree 100%. That's
Mm-hmm.
cool. Okay, before I ask you about social media, so company culture is huge for you. Like, you are an expert in it. I've learned a lot from you about that, and I'm sure all the thousands of people that have seen your content have as
Aw,
well.
Thank you.
And
Content that you created.
yes. And I just want to know, like, do you remember where those strong feelings you have about having such a great culture started? Was there something that inspired that, or do you feel like that's just something that's in you that makes you feel good, so that's why you have such a great culture at Click? Like, what's the background of that?
So that's a great question. I definitely can't think of a time where it like started. You know, I've just always loved people.
Yeah.
And you know, I guess the only way I can say it like really started is, you know, going back to opening the salon with my ex. He's not a people person, and so no one on the team liked him. And so, I mean, this is literally how it started. And I'm not into bashing. I'm not trying to bash anyone. It's just, it is what it is. And so I was constantly having to be the mediator and keep them on the team, keep them happy. And their concerns were legit. It wasn't like they were just complaining and I'm thinking like, okay, like I felt it. I felt their pain. I felt that they were being treated misfairly or unfairly. And I felt like the things that were
That's a tough
coming,
position for you to be in.
it was horrible. It was the worst.
No wonder you were like unleashed later and so free.
Yeah, it
Good
was
Lord.
it was horrible because I knew that if I didn't step in, we were going to lose valuable team players.
Yeah.
And so I think that's when it's really started was pretty much probably within the first year or two is I realized that these people that everyone deserves to be treated like they're special. Everyone deserves to be treated fairly, you know, at minimum. But to me, I want people to feel like if they're working with us, like they're special, they're worth something, they're valuable. They're not just an employee. You know, I hate even using the word employee. That's why I say team member, and it's so cliche, but like I really mean that because we work together.
Yeah.
And so I think that's when it really started to where I started to see it wasn't a owner versus employees. It was everything they were coming to me with. I was on their side and I saw it and I'm like, oh my God, this is horrible. This isn't how it should be. This isn't the kind of culture I want.
Right.
I don't want that. I'm the boss. You do what I say or else. You know, not saying that you don't have to have, you know, standards, but just that culture of unkindness, you know, and walking on eggshells.
Yeah.
And so that's pretty much when it started. And then it just got to, you know, more and more to where, you know, it just became like such a passion to, you know, have these people on the team feel like they're special and for them to make other people, clients, feel like they're special and they're someone because everyone is important and valuable. And in today's world, I just don't feel like you get that, you know, it's at all.
Right. Well, it's cool though that, which is probably happens in life all the time, right? That something so good kind of came out of that. If you
Absolutely.
you know, you be in that position back then was such a fucking pain in the ass.
It was horrible.
But you did what we should all try to do more of, learn from it, and then actually take action to fix it, change it, you know, whatever you gotta do. So.
Absolutely. I'm such a big believer in, I can go back and look at every horrible situation in my life and see the good that came out of it. So it's like that with my ex-husband, as horrible as that was, there's no way that we would have the culture or that I would be the leader that I am now if I hadn't had to go through that. If I had truly just started Click Salon on my own, which I wouldn't have, okay, and that's another thing. I would have never opened a hair salon.
Right.
It wouldn't have happened. So
you'd be somebody's therapist somewhere.
Exactly.
You know?
So, it just worked. And then, the going through everything I have just as far as, coming out and letting everyone know, team members, family, that I am gay, like even that, so much of that was hard, going through, dating different people and the pain of that and losing that and going through different breakups. This is what I've learned. There's always, when you're going through something, whether it's a divorce, whether it's, a breakup, whether it's the loss of someone, there's always something better. The reason you're losing that, or even if you're choosing to let go of it, sometimes you're not, sometimes they choose to let go, but there's always something better. And so losing, the marriage, it's way something better. Going through, losses with, different people I've dated. Now I'm with someone that it's an even better situation.
Sure.
There's always something better. So it's like if that door closes, even if it's you shutting it, just know there's a reason. That means there's only something better waiting for you.
That's nice.
Yeah.
It's nice to think about it that way.
Yeah.
Because it's hope. Hope is one of my most favorite things. If you don't have hope, you don't really have much at all. So that's a cool way to look at it too. It's hard in the moment though.
Very hard in the moment.
If somebody wants to come to you and be like, it's okay, honey, this is happening for a reason.
Now
it's gonna get better. You'd be like, I want to punch you in the motherfucking
That
throat.
I do not say. No, because that is like the worst.
Let them have their moment.
Let them have their moment.
Feel the feelings.
Oh my God, I've had so many people tell me that. Oh, this is happening for a reason. And I just usually go, so
I'll think about that fucking later. Right
Yeah.
now, I'm pissed.
absolutely. Yeah, it is. I like what you said. It's something I've learned, and it gives me hope, when I am in another difficult situation, which I know we'll have them, hopefully most of mine are through, but it does.
More few and far between.
Yeah, but it is. It's hope, and I think the more you go through shit, the more hope you have, because you realize. That's what I told my therapist last night. Everyone should go to therapy. Everyone, even if you don't think you need it, go.
I've never been to therapy.
Small Biz Social Society is a content creation community for mission-driven small business owners that are using social media to make a positive impact on the world. I created this community in 2020 to bring together my fellow world changers that run businesses and have a strong presence on social media. And starting January 8th, 2024, you can join the community for free. Yep, the membership cost is going from $18 per month to absolutely free. Zero, zilch, nada. If you're a business owner or in leadership at a business, a social media manager, or a content creator, you are welcome to join our community of creative, intelligent, fun entrepreneurs. The free membership includes access to 4 online events in 2024 that will focus on intermediate to advanced level content creation strategies, our monthly email newsletter that will be jam-packed with resources and detailed tips, and our private Facebook group where you can network, support, and reach out for help. We'll be talking social media, email marketing, YouTube, podcasting, and more. Plus, all members are invited to attend our annual in-person conference, Social Success. Our next one will be held in Austin, Texas in May of 2024. Small Biz Social Society is the best community for intermediate and advanced level content creators that are always leveling up and making a positive impact on the world. Head to smallbizsocialsociety.com to join.
No.
I know I should go. I am really fucked up.
No, and see, that's just it, Brittany. That's what I try to tell people. It's therapy can
Secrets
benefit,
out. I know it doesn't seem like it.
No, therapy can benefit anyone. That's my thing.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how fucked up you are, but it can benefit.
I don't know that
everyone.
I'm as fucked up as you.
Thank you for that. Thank you. I appreciate that. I take that as like a badge of honor. I'm more fucked up than you. Thank you.
No, I'm kidding, but I do recognize you. Yes, I agree. I think it's actually really good.
It's
idea.
just
I
beneficial.
need to try it. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I told her, I said, I know now that I've been through some of the worst things that a human can go through, and I know there's also worse things out there, but I've been through some of the worst things. So it actually has made me stronger because when I get scared and anxious, because I have anxiety. Do you have anxiety? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So when I do have that anxiety, I just tell myself, you know what? I've already been through some of the shittiest things. So I know that if this thing happens that I'm anxious about, I got it. I can handle it.
Sure.
Because I've already been through it, like worse stuff.
Right.
And it helps.
Yeah. That is
So
helpful.
if that helps your anxiety, because I know you've been through some shit. Who hasn't, right? It's life.
Right.
It's like, hey, I've been through some stuff. So if this happens or if this is happening, I'll get through it.
Right. For sure. I love that. Okay. Before we wrap up, I want to ask you about social media.
We have to talk about social media.
We talk about that on this show all the time, and so you are so you're my client.
Am
you and the salon, just to remind everybody what the situation is. But like to do social media content, build up the brand, build up the presence, and all the things that we've been doing for a while now. But before that, I mean, y'all had social media, you had it, but like it wasn't like it wasn't quite as a priority as it is now. And so what I'm wondering, the first question I have is, and I think this will help a lot of business owners, and be honest, whatever. But
we already talked about my honesty. You know I'm going to be honest.
Be honest. But I do want you to speak about like that, the way it's felt of going, like making that decision of like, because it's not just your company, like you're building a personal brand as well. Mm-hmm. And it's a totally separate thing kind of, and that takes vulnerability and courage and all the things it takes, and a lot of business owners still haven't done that are listening. And so I'm just curious, like how did that feel? What made you even want to do that in the first place and get on camera and actually really have this like public presence? Mm-hmm. And then was it scary? How'd it feel?
So, I love that we're finally talking about social media, because clearly that's, majority of what your podcast is about. And I think it's super sweet that you even like ask me questions about my story, which is great. But ultimately, like this is about social media. So I really want to talk about the impact that it's made, and just all the things, because it's an investment, and it's especially at first in my mind, it's a risky investment. Totally. Because everyone wants a for sure thing. I want a for sure investment, right? Don't we all want that?
Yeah.
But some are riskier than others, and so I knew that. So for future business owners out there, or business owners, or that you currently have businesses, whatever it is, the way we did it, and I think everyone is going to have their own thing, is I knew that our company and our culture was where I wanted it to be, right? Mm-hmm. So I knew we had like all the basics down. I knew that when customers came into our business, they were happy, 99% of the time. I knew we had a great team that was happy. So I didn't, and I wasn't trying to use social media to, oh my God, I'm so desperate, our sales are going down, I need to get social media on board to try to get people in there. Because to me, that would have been counterproductive. Because ask yourself, if your sales are declining, things aren't going your way, your business is going downhill, social media is not going to save that. There's something internal involved that you need to fix first, right?
It's like you are in my brain right now. This is what I
really?
want to tell. Yeah. Oh, yes.
You do this all the time.
I want to shout that from the rooftops, because so many people want social media to fix
their
like big problems, not little cute stuff,
Mm-hmm.
big stuff in the business, and it's not going to.
No,
it enhances
internal.
What's good.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, I knew, once I was unleashed, right, I knew there was so much stuff that we need to work on. Social media is at the very bottom of my list.
Yeah.
Because I'm like,
you're getting business. I mean,
right.
You're getting lots of business. So, yeah.
It's like, what is social media going to do if we have a client walk in and we don't even have our systems down? we're just going to lose that client that we just paid social media to bring in, right?
Right.
So I knew that we had to like basically get our shit together, you know, in the way that I wanted it to be. And so, you know, we literally spent, I would say, a good 4 years getting our shit together. Because, you know, I talk about all these ideas and things I wanted to change. You can't do that overnight, or you will lose your team because it's too much, too fast, too soon. So you can't be like, oh, we're just overhauling the whole company, you know, and you lose clients. It's just too much, you know. So it took about 4 years to strategically implement all the different changes for our culture and our business. So once we had that down and our sales were growing and we were growing, you know, internally as a team as well, I was like, okay, now it's time to focus on the branding. And so that was kind of my thing, is we need to focus on the brand, because we were so amazing, because we're amazing. I'm not just saying that. We're not perfect at all, but we're great. And so I'm like, okay, people need to know how great we are. And, you know, word of mouth is always, you know, the best route to go. But especially being in Houston, Texas, right? Fourth largest city in America. Word of mouth doesn't just cut it. That might work in a really tiny town. But, you know, it doesn't work.
Right. Houston's huge. Yeah.
It's huge. And especially when you have crazy high rent, and you can't just go by word of mouth. So I was like, okay, we're great. I know we're great. I know we're doing a great job. And of course, I knew that from seeing sales increase, seeing lots of client reviews that were positive. So I'm like, let's get the word out. And so that's when, you know, I found you. Mm-hmm. And that to me was the start of building our brand. So that's when, to me, I knew, I think it's really important to know what you're good at and hire people for what you're either not good at or not interested in. Okay. So I knew that, I'm not going to say that, I knew that if I put the time and effort, I could be good at social media. I don't have time for that. So that to me was just almost a non-interest, because I'm not going to put in the years that you've put in to learn how to do all this, nor do I have the time. So that's when I was like, we have to hire someone. And, you know, we did go through another company first, and, you know, that, I think it's so important, and to make sure you find a company. Lesson learned, you have to find a company that really aligns with your values. That's really important when you hire a social media company, because a lot of them just don't give a fuck, and they're just going to come in and just take a bunch of like pictures and, you know,
a shampoo bottle.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, you really have to find some, and if that's your thing, if you want someone to come and take pictures of a shampoo bottle, then that's fine. So that wasn't our culture. So you really have to find someone that aligns, or at least understands what you're wanting. And obviously, you know, your company did that. And then our brand just, you know, I'm just going to talk about the Click Salon brand mainly. I mean, unless you want to talk about mine. But to me, that one is more front and center, just because we already had that established culture. Like what we're trying to do with me right now, we're starting from scratch.
Sure.
I mean, Click Salon had at the time, 20 years of, you know, building a culture and a business. So we had a lot to work with.
Right.
And, you know, that's when you came in, and then, you know, the brand just, you know, exploded. TikTok, we went from literally zero. We didn't even have a TikTok.
Yeah, there were like 42 followers or something.
Yeah.
It was
and how many do we have now?
It was like almost 11,000.
So 11,000, and that's what, in a year? Less than a year? About a year?
Click got to 10,000 in less than a year on TikTok.
Yeah.
Which those results are not typical. I'm just gonna go ahead and cover my ass there. It's not. They're not typical. So I don't want to like get anybody's hopes up, but it can happen. Mm-hmm. And you have taken a pretty aggressive approach. Mm-hmm. Not all businesses do it that way. They'll be like, can you just like post a couple of times every week for us or something like that? Sure, and that works for some people maybe, but
and it depends on so many things. Like if it truly, I mean, to me. And you weigh in on this since it's like actually your profession, but if your business is growing and you've got the basics down and your budget can only afford a couple times a week, that's still better than nothing.
Yeah.
You know, but if you have all these internal problems, take take what money you have and spend it on fixing those. But yeah, if your business is growing and all you can afford is 1 or 2 a week, that's better than nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
No, I agree completely. And I think that it's really just, it's one of those things. Social media is just an interesting creature in general, as we were just talking about recently. But it's really like there's so many variables. So I just get so annoyed whenever some social media expert gets on Instagram and just like makes it sound like everybody needs to do this thing this one way. I'm like, no, it's like everything is so fucking customized. If the person's doing a really great job, it's super customized. I mean, from each client to the next, from this post to that one, like it's just that's why it's like you're saying, it's like it's not going to be the same for each business or each individual or whatever. Right. You're going to have your different needs or your different whatever. I mean, there's some people that are still not really active on social media, and because of the industry they're in, it really doesn't fucking matter. You know? And because I'm not that person to be like, everybody should always hire a social media person. No, you should. Not everybody. You know. But anyway.
I can see that. What company would you almost say doesn't really need social media?
So there's this company. Okay, I actually have a very good example. It's very, very different from the hair industry. I went to this company, to their office, and it is a big place, and it's like I went there for another client to do a video. It's a long story. Anyway, point is that this business I went to has like a really crappy social media presence, but they fabricate like rebar or something like for the roads, like it.
Oh my God, I don't know what rebar is.
It's like in the concrete. It's right. Like I'm looking at Vanessa. I'm like, the stuff in the concrete. And Vanessa's here. Producer Vanessa's here.
What's up? Hi.
And so anyway, so it's a construction-y thing.
Okay.
And their clients are not. They're not going to find them on Instagram.
I was going to say, wouldn't it be like the city that hires them and stuff?
Yeah, exactly. So, but I mean, they're a good example, and there's tons of businesses out like that.
True.
Businesses that are like industrial, businesses that are government, businesses that, and
yeah, you're not going to be like, let's see, I need to go to the post office. Let me look them up on Instagram.
It's not going to happen.
I never really thought about that.
No offense, post office, but I bet your Instagram will probably suck too.
Post office sucks. It's the worst. Other than DMV, post office is the second worst place to go.
What I really like though are let's post office for a second. The postal carriers, especially the people that are like on foot around here, super friendly, great people. I'm like, where are you when I need to go in there in person? Because the woman, it's because you're out here getting sunshine and walking around with her little earbuds, and she's just talking on her phone all day and having fun delivering her mail. But the woman that works at the thing doesn't have it so good. I think that's the problem.
Yeah, I'm scared of the people at the post office. They scare me. Like, I get anxiety as I'm waiting in line.
I'm afraid that they're going to get, do you do this? I'm afraid that they're going to get upset with me because I didn't do the label right.
They do get upset with me. So I don't even, they've gotten upset with me so many times. I don't even do the label, and I hit it to them, and then they get mad at me for that.
Because you didn't do it.
Because I didn't do it.
Yeah.
And I've even had them, can you step over to the side? And I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to get arrested or something by the post office police. Yes, it's the worst.
It's so nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, back to social media.
Oh, yeah,
I do want to ask you, though, about your personal brand. I think it's important because you had to make that decision to do that. I want to know why you decided to do that, whatever you're willing to share.
Sure.
And also how it's felt, because not... like all of a sudden, like business owners or people building brands and stuff need to be like on camera personalities, because we have social media, but not everybody really wants to do that,
right? Or
is good at that or whatever. So why did you decide to actually show up your face on camera on social media?
Good question. So
I know the answer, I think, but
yeah, well, I felt like for me, so I'm actually very comfortable. So at the salon, I love to be behind the scenes. And, I know right now I might not look like I like to be behind the scenes, but I'm very comfortable with that. And it's what works for me. I like to be the person that's moving things and changing things and creating systems. And, we'll have clients come in and they'll be like, oh, I've never seen you here. Are you new? And it
like, yeah, hey, I'm new.
And that's what I do. I have no desire to even say I'm the owner. I'm literally like, yeah. I'm like, I'm Natalie. Nice to meet you. And then of course, one of the team members will be like, that's the owner. And they're like, oh my God, But yeah, like I see them all the time and they have no clue who I am, and I'm totally okay with that. But what I wanted to do something separate from the business, and the fact that I feel like my passion is helping people to find their free, because for so many years I wasn't free, basically my whole life. And, I have such a passion for encouraging people to find their free, to, even if they find it, have the courage to live it, because that's really hard too. And just, regardless of the consequences, if they might lose people in their life, they might, have no contact with other people, they might have people angry at them, they might lose money, businesses, who knows, but nothing is better than living your free. I would lose everything, and I risked everything, literally risked everything to do it, and I wouldn't change it, because that's just the ultimate feeling. So I feel like that's so important to me that I wanted to get that message out, and I wanted to just get that message out in general. And there's other messages, things that are important to me, and some of it is business stuff that I do want to share, for people that are, entrepreneurs and growing a team, as in how to create that team culture. And I wanted to share that because those are my passions. My passions: living your free, creating an amazing team culture, making people feel important, all that stuff. Those are my passions. And so that's not something that I could get out in the salon. Sure. So I share it with my team, but I couldn't get that out to the masses. So it's hair, we can get out to the masses through Click Salon. My message, I didn't feel like it was appropriate to, hijack the Click Salon, Instagram and start it. Then it would be oh, this is the Natalie show. And it's no, this is the Click Salon show. Natalie needs her own show.
The Natalie show is good though.
Thank you, I appreciate that. So that's why I decided, because I wanted to share that message. So that's definitely not going to be for every business owner. A lot of them, their business is their show, and that's great. But for me, that's not the case. And so I want the Click Salon team, especially as of right now, our educators, I want that to be their show, their platform, and So that's why I separated the two.
Right. So how did it feel? I mean, literally that first time that we shot stuff together. Were you nervous, excited, all the things?
Was I nervous? You really asking me, was I nervous? You know how nervous I was. That's nice of you to ask. I was so nervous.
You don't come across as nervous on those videos. You really don't.
And
she doesn't.
I agree once I watch them, but I think that has a lot to do with you and Vanessa. You guys are so great with coaching and how you video, how you edit. How many times did I start over the same sentence 50 times? But overall, how did I feel? I definitely was nervous. I was nervous. It's a nervous excited.
Yeah.
Not nervous as in I don't want to do this, because then I wouldn't have done it. But a lot of the feelings I felt, I'm just going to say probably the first 6 months. I was nervous, not so much about my message initially, but just nervous, okay, am I going to look stupid?
Totally.
All that kind of stuff. I got over that pretty fast, because once I saw it, they do, you guys do such a great job editing and stuff. I was okay, I don't look stupid.
I did not pay her to say any of these things.
Oh, no, she didn't at all.
But I mean, I think that's natural though. And I think that's cool for you to just share that, because I think if somebody else out there is wanting to do this, wanting to stand up, be this public leader on social media and all that stuff, which is fantastic if that's what somebody wants to do. But yeah, I mean, if it's normal to probably feel nervous if you've never done that before. I mean, come on, it's new. It's hard, and you are going to be to me, I wonder if you feel this way. I actually am give me a huge crowd of strangers, but then when I start thinking about people that in real life know me are going to see this, that kind of gets me a little like Aunt Sally or whatever.
That's so funny, because I'm kind of the opposite.
Okay.
And the fact of let me just back up a little bit. And the fact of it's I do public speaking, and no nerves, super easy. And so I thought, well, being in front of a camera is going to be just the same, totally different. Because at least you have a crowd to like give you feedback.
That's true.
Right? So that was really different for me because I have like no problems with public speaking. Like, give me a million strangers, I don't care. But what you said, I'm just the opposite. I'm like, if it's a stranger, I'm like, you know, it's more of like I want to like pull them in.
Yeah.
And so that actually gives me more. If like my Aunt Sally likes it or doesn't like it, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah. Because
it's like I am who I am with her. She either likes me or doesn't. So I don't really care so much about people that know me. I'm trying to like, because to me, if I want to influence people that I don't know and make a difference in their lives, they have to like what I have to say. They have to like me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's for me a little different.
That's actually really cool because a lot of people do get nervous about like their family judging them for their social media posts and stuff like that.
And I can see why, for sure. There's definitely posts that I've done that I'm like, oh, I don't really want my mom to see this. But once again, it goes back to like, if you're truly being free and speaking your truth, there's no point in hiding it, you know? So
yeah. Your mom was like the star of that one video and she didn't even realize about when the Queen died.
It was like, what? Yes, it had like 1 million.
There's like somebody else filming. Did you see that, Vanessa? And like her mom calls on speakerphone. Did you hear the Queen died?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Got
and Natalie's like in the middle of a meeting.
Yeah. It got like 1 million views or something.
It got a lot of views.
It was insane. But yeah, my mom was definitely the star of that.
You're like, I was at the nail salon and Natalie's texting me like, what is happening? Are these numbers real? Because we hadn't been doing stuff for very long. Yeah. And she's like thinking, it's not real. It already shows like, 50,000 views or whatever it was. And I was like, no, I actually, it doesn't really surprise me. It's pretty funny. It's kind of random.
Yes, it was pretty cool.
But she had her moment.
She did.
Her Instagram moment.
Yeah. She was very proud of that. I mean, it took me a minute to explain to her what was going on.
Sure.
But yeah, she was very proud of that. But yeah, like I think the feelings I've had since then, other than once I get over the initial, like, am I going to look stupid? Now I'm like, whatever. I definitely had some feelings. And I think this goes with, and you're so good at allowing this and coaching this, is in like trying different things. Because there's some things that I posted and once I saw it, I was like, that's too vulnerable. Like I didn't feel comfortable with it.
Yeah.
And so I immediately was like, okay, I just knew for me, that's something that for now I need to stay away from. Because whatever content you give, you have to feel comfortable with it. And so some of it I was trying to push a little too hard that I wasn't ready for. I didn't realize it, but I could feel it on camera. Like I'm feeling a little uncomfortable. Yeah. I'm getting a little too vulnerable, or I'm not really comfortable with this content. Right. And so I learned from that. Like, so I had some moments of like, wow, I feel a little too vulnerable, so I'm going to pull back. Right. And so that was just trial and error.
It is.
And learning to like let people hate you. That was a big one. Remember when I texted you and I was like, I really feel like just stopping all of this because people are so mean.
Yeah,
or they can be on social media.
Yes, there was like a talking off the ledge moment with us in that moment because I was just like, mostly just because I know how it feels. So, I know you do. So I was like, oh God, I literally know the feelings she's feeling right now, and I don't really feel them so much anymore, just because it's been long enough, and but it doesn't feel good no matter what. Like at first,
it doesn't.
Like, yeah, you're gonna get better with it and deal and whatever. But like nobody wants anybody, even if it is some weirdo loser in a basement somewhere.
Yep.
Those words can hurt if they say something shitty.
Yep.
And but I mean, do you have any tips for that of how you eventually
got better at it?
I mean, because it's never going to be like
favorite
thing.
I still read some, and sometimes, and I'm just like, fuck off, you know?
Oh yeah,
like
for sure.
Everything in me just like wants to like type, and I'm like, it's not worth it, you know? So
it's like there's anger at that keyboard. I just want to go for it.
Yeah. Well,
I've had a lot of moments on your behalf as your social media manager with your account on the phone. I'm like, oh, you motherfucker. I just want, I was like, no, oh my God, Brittany, that's probably really unprofessional. Just don't do it.
Yeah.
Leave it alone.
And I know, like, how long have you been doing, like, your social media? How long?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I joined Instagram in 2012. I don't know.
So literally like
It's a long
10
time,
years.
yeah.
So I know for you, because I mean, I read comments some of your comments, not yours, but that people write. And so I know you're so used to it, but it's still new to me, but it's already gotten way better. One of the things is a lot of times I don't even read the comments,
Yeah.
And then because I have amazing Brittany here, if it's something that I need to reply to, she'll be like, hey, this person, you should reply this, or, she'll even reply to some. So that's a big one. A lot of times I don't even read the comments. Sometimes I do, and obviously, I have to say too, there's always more positive than negative ones.
There really
So
is.
I don't want to sit here and like focus on the negative ones, but unfortunately, what happens is, and this is just being human, the negative ones have a bigger impact and hurt you more than all the positive ones.
Yeah.
So I guess the second thing that I've learned, first, I just don't read them as much. The second is when I do see them, I'm just literally like, I go back to, I'm such a big believer in everyone has the right to their own opinion and their own thoughts. Now, I personally believe that, yes, you very much have the right to your own beliefs, but say them in a respectful, kind way. Now, obviously that isn't usually done on social media. But I just I'm thinking I'm almost to the point to where it's I just feel kind of sad for them.
Yeah.
Because I know that I would never, because I see plenty of stuff on social media I don't agree with.
Yeah.
And I don't have the energy or the time.
Just I'll be like, by the way, let me just tell you how I fucking feel about that.
I just don't. And even if I did, I would say it nicely because I know what kind of person I am.
Yeah.
So when I see them do that, I'm like, oh, they're a sad, miserable person. You know? So I think at this point, I've gotten more to just I just kind of feel sorry for them.
Right.
I still get mad sometimes, but my ultimate feeling is, I'm so sorry. Let me help you.
Right.
Poor
thing.
Yeah.
Okay. One of my final questions. Have you always been such a fashion queen? Because I feel really honestly, y'all, I'm not on camera with you. And I was like, oh my God, Vanessa's nodding her head. I have to be on camera with fashion queen Natalie.
Okay, stop.
Fucking great. My bra is probably showing out the top of my goddamn shirt. I'm like, thank you.
When I walked in, it was like, ooh, I like her blazer.
Oh, thanks. Well,
Yeah.
it's a good color. That's why I'm wearing it. I mean, it's not really a blazer moment, but we're going with it.
I love it.
Anyway, but have you always been like that? Because Vanessa and I have talked about this a million times. We show up at Click Salon and we're and I know that everybody's they're going a little extra mile to be on camera.
Sure.
But
Definitely.
I've been there when people were not going to be on camera, stopping by for something else.
Mm-hmm.
And people still look great. And you always look great.
Thank you.
Do you feel I know you have opinions about that with the industry that y'all are in and how it goes well with fashion and stuff. Is that the inspiration behind it? Does it just make you happy? What's the deal?
And that's a really good question. I don't think anyone's ever asked me that before. So even though, I would never go to school to be a hairstylist because I don't want to do hair. I've always loved fashion.
Yeah.
Always. So I remember a funny story is I was probably 16, 17, and I got this. So do you know what square dancing is?
Yes, ma'am. We're from Southern Missouri County.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so a lot of people wouldn't know, but just had to make sure. So my grandparents square danced, and so
cute.
Yeah, it was adorable. So they had some kind of square dance retirement party. I don't know, but I was around 16 to 18, and I remember I had in a very small town, but I was definitely not at that moment I had no concept of this is inappropriate. I just was looks amazing and it's fashionable, but it was still remember this little green shirt and it had no back, and it was really thin material. So it's can I say nipples?
Yeah, you can say whatever you want.
Okay, so my nipples were showing because I couldn't wear anything, and either I didn't know or they didn't have nipple covers back then, which I'm wearing now, by the way. So, so I show up in this completely backless, super sheer green, had a little strap, maybe spaghetti, not even spaghetti, tiny strap here, nipples showing, with all these 80-year-old people in their square dance outfits. And
That's amazing. That might be my most favorite part of this whole interview.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was very popular with the 80-year-old men that night, and not so popular with the 80-year-old women. Which, looking back, should have flipped that. But
there was somebody in there.
Yeah.
there was some.
You're right,
there was
you're right.
there was some gal
You're
in there
right,
that was
you're right.
excited. Yeah.
But I also am very intuitive, and I pick up on people's emotions, and so I knew once I was there that this is not appropriate. But it was too late. The looks that I got, it was, of course, looking back, a really funny moment. But yes, to answer your question, I've always been into fashion, and now I've learned usually what's more appropriate to wear to certain functions. But yes, I've always loved fashion.
I feel like if we go to a square dancing event, we're gonna cover our nipples.
We're gonna cover it. We're gonna cover our back. We're all the above.
You give one of those dudes a heart attack.
Yeah, and my grandparents were so sweet. They never even said anything to me. Never, ever.
You're like, oh, bless her heart.
Yeah. But yes, and I think that's another reason that I did fall in love with the industry is I do love the fashion aspect.
Yeah.
I love the fact that we can, our company, we can wear whatever we want and just look great. So it's like, I know if I want to show up and look like I'm walking straight out of Paris Fashion Week, I can do that on a fucking normal ass Tuesday.
Yeah.
I don't have to have an event.
And it would just be supportive, by the way. Speaking of your supportive team, everybody be like, ooh, girl.
Oh, they love it.
Look great
Yeah.
today. Cool.
And
And then move on about your day.
Yep. And so, I love fashion.
I mean, like, you'll walk into Click and, like, you never know which day Katya's going to have purple hair.
I was just
or, like,
thinking about
lavender.
Katya. She walks in like Paris Fashion Week almost every day.
All the time.
Yeah.
And you never know what shoes this person's going to have on or what cool outfit or what. Even whenever the fashion is quote unquote casual
Yeah.
and somebody's got on like sneakers and one day Crystal had on like.
God, get out of
I
my
was
head.
so-
As soon as you said
See,
sneakers, I was like, Crystal.
Oh, because I looked at her and I was like, this is like a dream outfit for me, girl.
Yep.
She's wearing like sneakers and like these fun jeans and she looks adorable. Curly hair. Anyway, it's very inspiring.
Well, and I don't get it how some of them will come in. I'm thinking of Katya again, but Jade too. They'll come in with heels like this, and it's like I wear like, you're gonna see my weenie dog socks, but it's like I'm all about the like I'll wear heels, but they have to be like
like a
clogs
platform,
or a
kinda
platform, more
yeah.
supportive.
Yeah.
But it's like we have girls that come in and I mean they'll be in stilettos and they'll wear them all day, 9 hours behind the chair, and that's how committed they are to their fashion and their appearance and their love for just the whole beauty fashion world. And I just love when I see them like that, I'm like, oh my God, that's just so fucking hot. Even though I couldn't pull that off, I
you
love
can pull
it.
it off, but like you don't want to.
Right, my body could not pull that off.
Your body be like, absolutely not.
Right.
I love it. Well, okay, I guess I'll let you go.
Well, I've had
Kept you for a long time.
I've had so much fun. Thank you for having me.
welcome.
Like this has been just the highlight of my. I will say, it's January 11th, 2024. Highlight of my year.
Stop. Well, you had some good moments this year.
Business-wise.
Business-wise.
Let me say business-wise.
Got
I mean,
it.
obviously, Paris, girlfriend.
Yes, you were just in Europe days ago.
mean, that was highlight of my like romantic life, but
There we go.
professional, you have different areas.
Yeah.
So to start off my professional life, like hanging out with you on your podcast, seriously, I'm very flattered and I love talking with you.
Thank you. Your first podcast appearance. My first in-person interview here in my living room.
And on January 1st, the 11th.
January 11th.
So all these ones, because I'm like a big one fan.
Yeah. We're recording this on January 11th, and the time for you to arrive was 11, and we did that on purpose.
And it was your first podcast in person and my first podcast ever. Like, so how many ones is that? Like 5?
It's a lot.
No,
Yeah.
5, 7.
Yeah.
7-Eleven. 7-Eleven.
Amazing. All
But
the
seriously,
alignments.
thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.